Hello, dears, and welcome to Al-Hussaini Virtual Lab Pathology Talks, Tips, and Practical Tips. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is a nice example of papillary tumor of the pineal region. So this is a case of a 10-year-old female patient who presented complaining of repeated attacks of headache, and on imaging was found to have a pineal region mass. And as you can see here from the low power magnification, the very characteristic papillary architecture or pattern of a growth that should really promote, especially if this was coupled with the location of the tumor, we have to think about the papillary tumor of the pineal region. Although, of course, papillary ependymoma should also be in the differential diagnosis. And as we can see here from a higher power magnification, there is the fibrovascular core, and then there is the multi-layered proliferation of cells with abundant acidophilic cytoplasm and some resemblance, I have to say, to ependymoma. Now, other areas showing some solid growth pattern, but again, we have here the papillae, and this is very characteristic finding, which on high power magnification would show this hyalinization of the fibrovascular cores of the papillae, along with angiomatous growth patterns. Several vascular spaces are identified. This is very characteristic feature of this rare tumor, along with this separation of the growth of the tumor cells from the angiomatous core, hyalinized cores, giving this empty space, again, very important clue to the differential diagnosis. So this is, again, from the low power magnification. This is the area that I just showed you, and this is on high power magnification. Now, other areas would show a vascular core lined by the cells with abundant acidophilic cytoplasm, vesicular nuclei, prominent nucleoli, and then the abundance of mitosis. And here some of the cells show clearing of the cytoplasm, very characteristic features that should really make us think of this important differential diagnosis. Now, there are areas which might resemble ependymoma canals. This would not really exclude the diagnosis of papillary tumor of the pineal region, nor it would render a confident diagnosis of ependymoma. And then we start to see perhaps here another area that resembles ependymoma canal, but then we start to see more solid growth of the tumor, and again, scattered mitotic activity and mitotic figures detected at various areas, and in some areas more of solid growth pattern with sheets of tumor cells showing some clearing to the cytoplasm, yet vesicular nuclei, prominent nucleoli, and abundance of mitotic activity. What is really important is that this tumor characteristically would stain with CAM5.2 cytokeratin. This is the single most important immunohistochemistry available in hand to support the diagnosis of papillary tumor of the pineal region. While in contrast, if we think of ependymoma, we have, of course, to do the GFAP, and the GFAP is almost completely negative. This is one of the papillae. This is what resembles the ependymal canals, and here as well, so complete negative staining that would certainly rule out the diagnosis of ependymoma. And I have to say that EMA was performed on this tumor and was completely negative. So these two tumors, these two markers would exclude the diagnosis of ependymoma. One important consideration in the differential diagnosis that we have to think of is choroid plexus tumor, whether this is a papilloma, a typical papilloma, or even carcinoma. Now, remember, carcinoma usually occurs in much younger age group patients. This is 10-year-old. However, it is still a consideration, and transthyretin is positive, diffusely positive in choroid plexus tumors, while it's at best focally positive in papillary tumor of the pineal region. Now, chromogranin A shows only focal positivity, as was the case with synaptophysin. And this is because one consideration that we should think of is whether this is a pineocytoma, papillary tumor of the pineal, a tumor of the pineal gland parenchyma itself. And this positivity with synaptophysin and chromogranin, this very focal positivity, together with the presence of the strong diffuse CAM5.2 positivity, would really support the diagnosis of papillary tumor of the pineal region. P53 shows mosaic staining pattern, which means this is a non-mutant staining pattern, and Ki67 was estimated at around 10%, which would really be consistent with the number of mitotic figures that were detected. So to sum up, the final diagnosis of this case was papillary tumor of the pineal region. The CNS WHO classification of CNS tumors assigns 2 grades to this rare entity, grade 2 and grade 3, depending on the presence of increased mitotic figures, as well as Ki67, with the cutoff of which is 10%. Anything that is 10% or more is usually considered to be grade 3 tumor. Remember that this tumor is rare. We have to think about it whenever we encountered a papillary tumor in the pineal gland / in the pineal region. The most important differential diagnosis is ependymoma. However, GFAP is extremely important to rule out this differential diagnosis, since ependymoma are usually diffusely positive, whereas papillary tumor of the pineal region is negative. CAM5.2 is diffusely positive in papillary tumor of the pineal region. Remember that choroid plexus tumors enter into the differential diagnosis as well, and transthyretin can be positive in both the tumors, choroid plexus tumors as well as papillary tumors, tumor of the pineal region. However, remember that the single most important immunostain that is most useful in rendering out this, supporting this diagnosis is the CAM5.2. I hope you find this tip useful in your daily practice. Thank you.